So the world is waking up to the globalist banking takeover. The majority of mortgages in foreclosure has been halted. It's coming out in mainstream news that one of the masterminds of 9/11 was meeting secretly at the Pentagon with the brass 2 months after the attacks. Anwar al-Awlaki, headlines at Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com. The U.S. government, allied with Israel, clearly put out the superworm a month ago. Now they say it's blowing back. The Pentagon needs to take the web over with cybersecurity and surveil everything you're doing and censor people and have a kill switch, which they already put in. They're just announcing it to save you from it. And here it is. Pentagon will help Homeland Security Department fight domestic cyber attacks. And on local news, they're announcing the Southern Poverty Law Center, ADL, are spying on citizens. They're working with the Threat Fusion Center, run by the CIA. It's just totally illegal, total takeover of society. This is it. The soft coup is accelerating. And Lindsey Williams has spent months trying to get a hold of his former Big Three oil company CEO, who we've always gotten great intel from because they love to tell people what they're going to do. And it mirrors the Bilderberg Group, Davos, Switzerland info we get months after Williams talks about it. And he is dying of cancer. He's been under cancer treatment. He is terminal. And this may be one of the last times Lindsey's been able to talk with him. We got cut off by the break, but I was saying, Lindsey, it sounds like what you're saying, you were actually out of breath yesterday when we talked to you, that this is the biggest, most important information he's ever given you, and that he basically completely spilt his guts. Is that accurate?
Yes, I would say that'd be a good way to put it. And if ever anyone has doubted the existence of a group of people on the face of the earth who control the world, let me emphatically say to you, as strongly as I possibly can, there is a group of people on the face of the earth who control the world, and they have definite plans right now for you and for your household. And folks, what you're going to hear today is just an extension of what Alex Jone is saying day after day, except I was able to get it from one of them himself, who now is at a point where he would probably tell everything in the condition he's in, Alex.
Now, you've been able to talk to him several times the last 2 weeks. Do we know how long he thinks he has?
Well, it's not going to be very long. He has terminal cancer. And I am very concerned for him. I'm also very concerned for him spiritually. In fact, in our last conversation, I tried every way I possibly could to present him the truth of salvation through Jesus Christ. And Alex, I really think, and you probably hear my voice break because I'm so concerned, I really think we're going to see this man in heaven. Keep your eyes on China and Russia. Never mind the Middle East. Never mind North and South Korea. Don't worry about these little skirmishes around the world. The very thing they want to get your mind off of is that which is most important. Right now, watch China and Russia. Russia and China just signed an agreement.
China just announced they're going to freeze rare earth mineral shipments to the United States, and they run the biggest mining operations in Africa and other areas like Australia to get those rare earth minerals used in everything that's electronic.
Yes, and as of this year, Russia has become the #1 supplier of crude oil on the face of the earth because of their super deep wells, which BP attempted to duplicate in the Gulf of Mexico, and as you know, they couldn't do it, and finally it blew out. Now, Russia is the #1 supplier, surpassing Saudi Arabia as of this year. China and Russia have just signed an agreement whereby Moscow said that they are ready to supply all of the energy needs that China has. That is both crude oil and natural gas. And let me tell you why this is so important. Because natural gas, Russia is the supplier of natural gas to Europe. And whenever China comes in and takes everything they've got, what's going to happen to Europe? What a perfect tool of bribery and espionage for...
Well, we know Putin already uses the fact that, 80% or more of the gas to Europe comes from Russia. He's already used that before and has actually turned it off before.
Yes, and can you imagine Walmart without a single product that it says on it made in China? I mean, folks, we are on the verge of something so catastrophic, and they say to me, watch China and Russia. Folks, I am telling you in advance.
Okay, what did he specifically say is going to happen on that front?
Well, first of all, when Russia and China signed this agreement for the supply of all petroleum products, natural gas, and so on, Alex, this is so important. There was no dollar value given to the deal. No dollar value. Why? They're not going to use the dollar. I mean, this is going to devastate our currency, because now the whole world will follow suit and say, we're going to use something else. Well, we'll get back to that.
And that move's already happening.
Yes, it is happening right now while you're listening to this program. This is taking place, and you are facing something with Russia and China that is so important. You want to focus all of your attention on what's happening with Russia and China. You remember, I said this on your program 2 years ago, whenever this gentleman gave me everything they were going to do through 2012 before he became terminally ill. And he said to me, he said, China is the big one. You remember those exact words. It's in my notes from 2 years ago on your program. And that's exactly what he's saying to me again. China is the big one. Watch Russia and China. That's where the big issues are going to take place in the near future, Alex.
And that's why the globalists have all been moving there and moving their main operations. This isn't like our elite are failing. Our elite aren't our elite. They're the global corporate crime syndicate that's organized this whole thing.
Yes, our elite know exactly what they're doing. For instance, Ford is investing $500 million with their new Chinese partner, Chongyang Ford Mazda Automobile Limited, right now in China. $500 million engine plant in China, 400,000 engines annually. Ford is the 11th. Listen to this. Our Washington has deceived us. Ford is the 11th ranking auto producer in China. Ford sold 368,000 vehicles in China since.
And we know GM on record used bailout money to move to China and Brazil. And we also, I saw it in the Statesman in Austin last week, the communist Chinese government just leased 600,000 acres of prime oil and gas fields in southeast Texas. So they are just taking everything over. They have become fabulously wealthy. The globalists gave the Panama Canal to them. They have positioned this takeover, this destruction of the U.S. from the highest levels of the government.
And every bit of this is being done by the elitists, the very people that I rubbed shoulders with for 3 years on the Trans-Alaska Oil Pipeline.
All right, let's continue.
Two of which still give me information. Folks, believe everything you just heard Alex say and everything he's saying on his programs every day. This is not fantasy. This is for real. I believe that they have accelerated their program. The main thing is they do not want the American people to rise up. They are scared to death of rebellion. And folks, don't you depend on this election. It may turn out to be what you want it to be. On the other hand, they may rig these voting booths because they're electronic. You've got to understand that the elite are on track with what they're doing, and they know exactly what's going to take place. And I do believe that they have accelerated their program, because he's giving me some things now that I thought was going to take another year or two before they would take place. There is going to be a definite move in crude oil prices immediately. You had best get your dinner table ready for it. All of you truck drivers out there, I beg of you to take note of this. 2 years ago, I said it was going down. It's over. Here's the sign. Watch crude oil. Okay, he gave to me a year ago, this individual, this elitist. He said to me, I want to give you a sign, Chaplain Williams, and I think he was giving it to me so that I could prepare my own personal household. I'm going to read it to you exactly like he said it a year ago. He said, watch crude oil prices, and you will know the progression of the elitist in their program. These are his exact words. Now, where is crude oil going? You've seen it just within the past few days. Diesel fuel in my area is going up 10 cents a gallon. Crude oil is going back. Are you ready? Watch crude oil prices, and you will know the progression of the elite. Now that they have started back up with their crude oil prices, this means that their program is on schedule. They're doing exactly what they've been telling me over these years they were going to do. Here it is. Here's the price. Crude oil is going back to $150 to $200 a barrel. Gasoline at the gas pump will be $4 to $5 a gallon. This is going to contrive massive inflation. Can you imagine what this is going to do to airline fares? With the airlines, I know they're making money right now. They're one of the most viable businesses in America. Can you imagine what this is going to do to the trucks and freight line prices. Can you imagine what this will do to the grocery store and the hardware store? Because every bit of it is hauled by either a diesel train or a truck right down the road.
And now the Al Gores and others are positioned to roll out with their solution, the, quote, green economy that they control.
Yes, and every bit of this is part of their total program of what they're going to do. Now, what Janet Napolitano said only moments ago on national news on a special bulletin, that they are very concerned about a cyber attack. Do you realize what this would do to crude oil prices when you went to, for instance, you go to the service station and you can't use your credit card? You go to the grocery store and you've got to have cash. And if you don't have cash, the cash registers aren't working because the internet is already broken down.
Did he say anything about that?
Napolitano told you in advance that's what they're going to do.
But this person that had lunch with the head of Homeland Security, she reportedly told her, get 6 months of food and water ready?
Yeah, I need to give some background to this in a few months, but that's exactly what Janet Napolitano told her personally at a lunch, private lunch that she and Janet Napolitano had, and she said, I want you to go straight home, get 6 months worth of food and water, store it in your house. Something is about to happen. I can't tell you what it is.
Well, it could just be another stock market collapse with all this mortgage news, or it could be a cyber attack. These people are trying to pass in the next lame duck session their cybersecurity takeover. It's already in place. They just want to formalize it with everybody. And again, there's a lot of rich people live in Austin that I've bumped into over the years. I remember, I talked about it 4 years ago, one of the richest women in America said she was moving to the Cook Islands because, quote, America won't be here. And it was, she said, basically the derivatives coming up. That was 2 years before the crash of 08. Now 2 years ago in October of 08. Now headlines, you know, rich fleeing U.S., rich fleeing Europe. Of the top 10 richest Israelis, the BBC headline a few months ago, I believe, was 6 of the richest have sold their houses and left Israel. I mean, what do they know? There is an evacuation taking place of the elitist.